How easily may pleasure elude you? I discovered the hard way that every commitment I made would be violated, regardless of the truth I believed. From the ashes of a life once cherished, dear turned into betrayal, can a heart ever mend after being ripped apart? I battle. I met Laura during my first year of college, and I'm telling my experience and taking back my life despite the lies and the heartache. She stuck out to me because she was tall, thin, and had chestnut hair, which is just my style, was 61 years old, and had spent years on the swim team. As soon as our eyes met, it was. Our friends frequently made fun of us because they could see the spark between us, as if everything I had ever desired was right in front of me. We spent a few years together, and it was fantastic. We were really happy to be together, and it made us connect. And we even had 6 sexual encounters in a single day, beginning early in the morning, and continued after school, in between courses, and into the night until we eventually dozed asleep. As time passed, we still hooked up 3 times. Yet despite our respective schedules, we were still able to see each other sometimes. College, but with more homework in our last year, it decreased to just the weekends, and then Laura made a grave error. Paul, our school's basketball player, was everywhere on social media. My phone was overflowing with texts, photos, and even a video of him and Laura together that night. Into her room while grinning. When I approached her the following day, she was intoxicated and almost asleep. I showed her the pictures, and she confessed that she had gone out with friends, began drinking, and, seeing Paul, they struck up a conversation, and before she knew it, they were making out. She couldn't even recall how it ended. While we were in bed together, she pleaded with me to forgive her, saying that it was an isolated incident and that she loved me. She was the sexiest, according to her friends, and even M acknowledged it was a drunken error and I should move on. I was irritated with her for nearly 2 weeks, but I finally forgave her since she was the only female I had ever dated and no one else could compare. She apologized often, and I gave in, but I made it obvious that one more error and we were no longer close. I miss being close to her. Completed, the men who advised me to bring her back are now unhappy because they put appearance above loyalty. Her and her husband are now blissfully married and have never divorced, so I suppose there is some validity to the idea that loyalty is often overlooked. Aside from that one occasion, Laura was wonderful. After graduating from college, I pursued a career in programming, while Laura worked as an administrator at. By the end of the year, we were married and had our first kid, but she had to drive over an hour each way to a large business. After Ben and his sister arrived a year later, everything appeared to be going well. But I was deluding myself that my job was going well, but Laura decided to sell real estate because she wanted to increase her income. Laura began earning more money since she was tall and lovely, but I also saw that she was spending more time away from home, which caused our distance from one another to increase. I sensed that something wasn't right, and I chose to install a tracker on her phone and a recorder in it since I recalled the difficult period we had previously experienced. Her purse within 2 days, and I overheard her conversing with a man called David. Her phone indicated that she was nowhere near his Locati 0N. Although it was difficult to be close to her place of employment, the tape offered me hope that we can make things right. When she got home, I prepared her favorite supper and gave her extra love while the kids were all dressed up. And she appeared content when I told her that I liked her and that we should spend more time together. She concurred. I kept sending her adorable photos of our children because I was glad that I may win her back. I wrote her back after noticing that she was messaging David to let her know how much I missed and loved her, and I was overjoyed when she canceled. Laura had arrangements to go out to a fine restaurant with him on Friday night, so I asked my cousin and his wife to keep the kids. We tried to break our previous record in bed that evening after supper, when we ate and danced, but we were unable. I believed everything would be well, but the next day we brought the kids to the water park, where we had a terrific time. Then, on Friday morning, I received a text from Laura to David saying that she was thrilled to see him and missed him. I was truly disappointed. I couldn't accept her justifications and couldn't allow her charming words to convince me that some aspects of our Laura had already left me and the children, but she hadn't lost her yet. Life was genuine. Privileges to view them, but I was able to identify David from her when I saw him briefly on the surveillance software on her phone. Workplace. I initially thought he was a jerk, but now I was certain of it rather than facing jail time for hitting. I decided to eliminate Laura and the turmoil out of our lives since she had been deceiving the children and me, and I was betraying him. The ones I was meant to love the most, so I took advantage of all I knew about her double life and retained the most of our items and ensured that I was our children's primary carer. I demonstrated to the children and our family how Laura was making. In order to keep them from falling for her antics, I was going to make David regret interfering with us. The next step was I informed Laura about Ben's school band performance, but she wasn't really listening. This was starting to become the norm, but the next day was M's important recital, so I modified Laura's schedule using the software on her phone. Remind her for the next day at school. I checked her phone to make sure she was at a guy's house. When I left her a message, her phone was on mute. An hour later, I inquired where she was, and she replied that she was running late. Before the performance, she called in a frenzy to inquire as to whether Emma had performed yet. I asked her where she was, but she persisted in her inquiries. Emma was upset on the way back since her mother wasn't there, but I assured her that she merely missed her and would see her at home. There, I informed her that occasionally adults are too busy with work to attend events like Emma's, and Ben were dissatisfied, but they handled it well. Laura was still wearing her work clothes when we arrived home. She was all over Emma, smelling nice, and Emma pretended to be depressed since kids are amazing at making up for missing the performance. I worried whether Laura felt awful about missing it, but Emma gave her a huge embrace after a while and encouraged her not to miss the next one. The program, or just feared being caught cheating, and then I noticed Laura and that man getting together at a little cafe called. I ended up discussing their fried pickles with my father, telling him about the Locati Zero, and I'd reserved a seat at the cafe Laura and David frequently visited on Friday. I picked up her parents, and the three of us. I took a longer, more picturesque route to the restaurant after noticing Laura was still at work as I was driving there and checking my phone. Laura's phone quickly indicated that she was en route, and we arrived just after she and her dad walked in. I called out for a table and saw Laura in the rear, sitting comfortably next to David at a booth. Laura suddenly glanced up. David appeared disoriented until he noticed us entering, and she quickly widened her eyes before sliding to the opposite side as though she had been shoved. Attempted to blend in, but a little later Laura approached us and said, "Mom, Dad, what brought you here?" Laura seemed a little too friendly, but her dad was beaming and added, "I came to try the famous fried pickles." Excited about them, saying, "Why don't you join me in my work?" We just arrived, and our buddy pointed to the booth where David was looking quite irate. Her dad took a step back. Laura replied, "We don't want to interfere with your work meal," as her mother, who had lost her grin, glanced at David. "Too happy, it's okay. We were just having a little snack before showing a property, so let's just say it got." David then shook hands with everyone, which was somewhat embarrassing, and Laura filled the air with talking. My mother-in-law expressed sadness over her food, saying that my father-in-law appeared somewhat depressed over it. When the lawman saw this individual, he stopped smiling for the entire lunch and simply gazed at him without saying anything. I made an effort to strike up a conversation the entire time by posing simple queries like, "How long have you been here? And why is a pleasant man like you who is still unmarried? I thought you two could meet up if it works out because, Laura has a sister who is unmarried." After a lengthy pause, the man responded, "No, thank you. I have a girlfriend." Laura's grin was tight. "We might become family." He asked if she was someone we knew or if it was a secret. It's not pleasant to imply that she's leaving a horrible relationship, but he looked smug, and I thought, what a jerk his. When he noticed that everyone at the table was staring at him, notably Laura, his smugness vanished, and our food arrived as normal. I hardly touched my fried pickle since the sluggish eaters were hurrying through their meals. When Laura questioned if it wasn't good, I said that I wasn't hungry and simply stared at her. Then, Laura's mother summoned the waiter and gave him a $60 bill for our dinners. Everyone thanked him, and she hurried to the loo. The waiter returned with change, and Loris's father gave David a disgusted look as if he had something filthy on his shoe before leaving. I excused myself without saying anything. I apologized to Laura and David for interrupting your work lunch in the bathroom. I got up and went to get my car, and Laura followed me. "I bet you have big plans and people to deceive, or perhaps sell to." It's nice to have lunch out. I suggested that we talk at home since your parents would be arriving shortly. I watched Laura's parents leave quickly. Laura, who was on the verge of running without even glancing at David, watched them go and looked down, stating that it might be for the best Elle gave. I gave her a brief embrace before getting into my car and driving away without saying anything to Laura. The trip home was, when we arrived at their house, it was quiet. I said goodbye, and my mother gave me a big hug, saying she loved me like the son she never had. Her father, who asked to see the children, gave me a brief embrace, which was out of the ordinary for him. Appeared so much older now, and it was disheartening to see that Laura had lied to them in order to be with a stranger who made me think of. Sophia was removed from the picture because she had ruined her marriages by lying and cheating on her sister. Terrible rumors about her second husband, but when her parents saw a video of her with another man, the truth was revealed. His marriage ended, and his family left their church, never to be heard from again because of the man's close-knit family. Even though they lived in the same town, Sophia's parents hardly discussed the hurt caused by her actions with her when she returned to the Lura family. Continued to follow the family like a shadow, and Laura brought up Sophia and her parents. Abruptly interrupted him, telling him not to bring up her name again. Sophia attempted to enter her family's church one time. When her father saw her on Sunday, he interrupted the pastor in the middle of his sermon to apologize, but they had to leave without even looking at Sophia. They left by the door near her, who got dirty looks from everyone else. Laura came back that night excited. She told me about a big sale she made with David at lunch, but her folks didn't like her eating out alone with an unmarried man. They told her not to hang out with him, even in a group. Laura apologized and promised not to lunch with him if it upset them. She said not to worry about him. They got the sale. I told Laura I'd sleep in the guest room until she apologized to me and her folks, reminding her about her sister's mess up. Laura was upset, but she thought I was making a big deal over nothing. I didn't want to be close to her anyway. Then I put a switch in Loris and David's car. I did David's car while he was busy with my wife. I also messed up a car part to make his engine room until she apologized to me and her folks, reminding her about her sister's mistake. Laura was upset, but thought I was making a big deal over nothing. I didn't want to be close to her anyway. Then I fixed a car in Loris and David's car while he was busy with my wife. I also messed up a car part to make his engine. The light came on, which made it tricky for the mechanics. We had different tasks for the day. Ben had soccer, Emma had band practice. That's when Laura wanted to see David. I heard everything on her phone during Ben's game. I made sure Laura's car wouldn't start. Knock, knock. What's up, babe? You're back. So soon my car won't start. Let's see. 15 minutes later, it's still not working. What's the problem with your car? It should start right. It looks fine. Do you need me to drive you home? No way. After that mess at the diner, if my husband saw you drop me off, he'd be in trouble. Just call a tow truck. I need to pick up Emma for her band thing across town. Why not let your guy do it? He's at Ben's soccer match. We plan ID. Take Emma. You can use my car again. Yeah, fine. Take me to a car rental, and he'll get a tow truck for my car. Make sure you're here when the tow truck guy shows up. Give him 60 to say it was found at our work. Loris's phone beeps. Oh no, hey love, are you on your way? To get Emma, my car is acting up. I think the battery is dead. I need you to come and give it a jump. No, that's okay. I've called a tow, and it'll just rent a car. So Emma isn't late. Call if you need me. She ended the call. Leighton, head out now. Take me to the Enterprise near our job. But there's a hers closer. There's no way I can have a rental bill from a place far from work, especially by your apartment. Laura was too late for Emma. Luckily, Emma called to say she needed a lift, so I got one of our dad friends to bring Ben home later. After he said yes, I rushed Emma to her show. Just in time. Back home, Ben was in his room, and Laura was there saying sorry to Emma again. She was still in her work gear, but she smelled fresh. You had a rental, but your dad had already got you one. It's okay, Mom made it just on time thanks to Dad Aga. And you missed my show. I hope work is worth it. She ran to her room. Laura told me it wasn't her fault. Her car broke down. I called your job after lunch. They said you left early. You had over 2 hours to pick up Emma. What went wrong? Laura froze. She said she had some errands to run and thought she had enough time. She didn't know her car would break down. I looked at Laura, who was squirming under my gaze. She looked back at me and said, what errands didn't you tell me about? I never told you. I stared at her for a moment, waiting for her to elaborate. She said she had to run some stupid errands. I hope that stuff was worth more. If you think that's bad, you're in for a world of trouble. I went upstairs to sleep alone. At least I got my answer. Laura Didn't care about missing our kids' big moments. Her affair was all she thought about. She just didn't want to get caught. If she cared, she would have skipped her plans. Instead, she left work early under as she gave a fake reason to have more time for her affair. Next time it will be worse. The car shop found nothing wrong with Laura's car. Emma got smart when she found out. She said, "Hey mom, you said you'd drive me and my friends to the mall this Saturday. Can you tell us now if you'll bail? We don't want to be stranded due of your automobile." Ben chuckled from in the other room. Emma was yelling at the kids. She said, "Nice, Emma." The kids felt left out by their mom. After the major conflict, Laura came to me to complain and asked me to encourage the kids to be polite to her. "Maybe you'll think about it, but first I'm waiting for her." "I'm sorry." As I sit in the guest room, I didn't see the amusing side of it. I got upset and stated I was being harsh. I was headed for the guest room on Saturday. I was the driver for Emma and her pals to the mall. Laura stated she had work to complete, so she didn't go to a hotel or a guy place. Her car ended up at a house for a few hours. I checked it all since the place was for sale, but who was with her when we all came back? Emma thanked me a lot in front of her parents for the rides. Then Emma simply spoke with her friend and didn't answer. Laura looked like I guess she wanted to say something to me, but I simply laughed, got my drink, and walked to my office. Closing it, Laura was dressed in her work clothes, but she smelt fresh, like she had washed. It looked like she had a secret visit to a property she was selling. I simply hoped she changed the sheets after, but I kinda doubt it. Ben's birthday was approaching up. We planned to go bowling at 6 Lanes with his buddies and us to have a wonderful time. It took a little, but I spotted an alley free on a Friday night. How lucky was I told Laura. She seemed scared. Fridays must be difficult for her. I replied I'd grab the kids and few others for the celebration. I needed her to collect the cake and candles, light the candles, eat pizza, and watch Ben unwrap gifts. Then it was bowling time. The week before Ben's party, I had to MES with David's car a few times to deter them from meeting up that week. They selected Tuesday for lunch, so I had to screw up his car for good. He had to take it to the store, and they said there was nothing wrong with it. I received it back the same day, and I hoped this would enrage him. When I got Loris's SMS on Friday morning, I was relieved and ready for Friday. "I'll see you after lunch." According to her phone, she was going to his apartment early enough to enjoy herself, cake, and get at the celebration promptly, which allowed me ample time to accept Loris's present, have fun, pick up the children, and go. I leased a vehicle for this particular day, which required a large trunk specifically for the party. After making sure Laura's phone was left at his house, I brought my luggage and Loris's present in case it opened. I placed the black cloth-covered pet cage at David's front door. With only David's door left in front, I raised the cage door and took out my new tool, the door ram, and gave it a couple swings. Times to practice. After which I loudly banged on the door, took out my taser, and quickly shot the metal cage. A very irate raccoon leaped out, and I hastily closed the door as the raccoon turned to attack me as I turned to flee. So I got into my car and drove off while listening to Laura's phone to find out what was happening, and I heard her yelling amid the chaos, indicating that the raccoon had reached David. I locked my wife's phone after hearing him instruct her to contact the police because she felt she had forgotten the password. The raccoon went crazy, but I was able to call the police and inform them that a wild animal was at David's house. Required backup. After 15 minutes or so, the cops showed there and discovered evidence of a break-in, so they moved in with their weapons ready. It took some time for the police to close the front door after the raccoon attacked, and I heard both of them cry in fear. 2 foul-smelling police officers sat across from them, waiting for animal control to arrive, capture, and remove the raccoon. 2 additional police officers arrived to assist Laura and David, 2 foul-smelling people, but once they smelt the Locati Zero in, they left. "Yes, David, it is my driver's license." "Do you reside here?" "You're just here. So, do we have to do this right now?" "Look, woman, I had a bad day and was just attacked by a raccoon, so I'm not in the mood for some games." "Okay, so tell me how you two know one another. If not, why do we work together?" The officer questioned, "What's up?" after they exchanged information on their radios to verify Laura and David's details. Laura interrupted David as he was about to respond, saying, "It was a gift for me that you got. Your boyfriend for full-grown raccoon is a gift. He's not my boyfriend, or whatever. Why a full-grown raccoon?" "Well, I did get it, but it was meant to be small and trained so it wouldn't attack." David said he liked raccoons and wanted one as a pet, so I surprised him. It wasn't meant to be. They dropped it off, and when David unlocked the cage, it came out, and assaulted him. The officer wasn't buying it, but also became bored of waiting. The drama stated a raccoon must have cost a lot, but it was okay. Okay, Laura attempted to minimize it. Do you constantly buy pricey pets for work buddies without your spouse knowing, or simply for your lover? Laura remained silent. It meant boyfriend. And that, David, I screwed it up yesterday and couldn't fix it yet. They must have all been. Silence for a minute. Then he spoke up. Well, both of you, I can know you're both lying, but I can't tolerate this scent and need to go. The only reason you and your boyfriend are off the hook is because you both stink more than me or my buddy. And they departed and slammed the door after saying, I won't let you ruin my car. What was it about always being wise that we couldn't say? Why not? They would question my husband whether he was the one who kicked your door and placed a raccoon in your place. I was here. Laura, be honest. David, how many other females are you with? He knows that if he didn't, they would have to inform him. None, he acknowledged. When was the last time he spent time with someone else? A month ago. Gently, he has been a jerk for approximately 8 months. He has been with her for the whole time she was with me, plus an additional 6 months. He said in a whisper, I know what you like now, but did their men find out that you think they were married? You're not sure, but I was correct to tell the police a falsehood, most likely one of the. After revenge, we'll find out if my husband did it or not, and if he did, I'm going to be extremely. Laura grabbed the cake, but I know she can hear me, so I'm upset when my wife's phone calls. I'm on my way, Laura, but don't be distracted by the background sound of bowling pins. I got caught up at work. Down too, so don't worry, Laura. David said, Oh no, Benz. I heard Laura take a shower, get dressed, and leave quickly, so I need that cake for my birthday next. According to her automobile's map, she is on her way to the shop when her car breaks down after 4 attempts to start it. But then she will be extremely late for Ben's party at the store because it starts and stops 3 more times while she is traveling. Laura apologizes. She informed the bakery employees that she had struck a raccoon, and they were very supportive. Laura arrived at the. After a brief conversation, Ben asked his mother to hold the cake at the end of the bowling place while we all held our noses and gagged. On the way back, he asked why she didn't attend his and Emma's events, and I told him that she was doing her best. Just go home. For Emma and me. And even though it's difficult to be everywhere at once, you're always there. I also mentioned that I have more freedom. Hours so that I may spend time with my 2 favorite raccoons. It won't be immerse, Dad. Both of your pals laughed when you told them that even the birthday cake smelt, so we threw it out. Was content to spend the night in the other room. Days later, when Laura had taken several baths in tomato juice, I saw her. It was amusing to see my wife smell my car seats. She appeared to be a mouse searching for cheese when she returned. I used my phone to covertly follow her upstairs to the closet in our main bedroom after entering the house. I never asked, yet she fell to the ground and started sniffing my wardrobe so I could record her. Why did her car not smell like a raccoon, even after I told everyone that I needed to acquire certain hardware items 2 weeks later? I went out alone myself, but went directly to David's apartment after asking if anyone wanted to come and listening to their noses. I knocked, and when he answered the door, I said, May I come in? I'm Laura's husband. His car was there, which was wonderful. His face went white, but I persisted in making him seat at his kitchen table since it smelt like freshly painted walls. And slightly of raccoon. It appeared new. I've known about you and my wife, Laura. Over the last 6 months, I responded, Dude, I don't know what you heard, but it's all not true. We're just friends, he said, but I have pictures and a video of their meetings. I told him I had proof. I don't care about you. What matters is what my wife does. So harass my offer instead of paying a detective. I said. He looked confused. You want me to film me and your wife together, and you'll pay me $2,500. He was attempting to understand it. So he looked at his new belongings and saw that $2,000 was only for a film of me and your wife. Are you serious? I need a note from you stating that you created the film and that you're cool with me purchasing it for a video that unmistakably indicates it's her. I need more power in a divorce dispute. So why do you need the video if you have all this evidence? Wow, that kind of cheating would be quite cruel. What do you mean by the way she plays me with the kids? I'll give you $1,000 if you, like me, I'm sure the other 2 guys have been duped by their spouses. Tell them what occurred, and they'll even cover the cost of a. You can spend the entire Saturday with her at the hotel spa in this hidden locati 0 and a few towns away. David just took a look at. I'll increase the deal to $3,000 because I think you're really cold, but I won't tell Laura. Naturally, it will reserve the spa at the hotel in your name for next Saturday, and they will give you a call on Tuesday night to schedule when the video cash payment will be received. Yes, everything will be fine. Her face is obvious to see in the films. I'll send over the permission notice later today. Chat to you the Tuesday after next. I left his apartment and proceeded on with my shopping on Friday night. Laura, I forgot to tell you I have a meeting today. Saturday, is that okay? No concerns. It seems like a peaceful weekend. Enjoy. I contacted David to inform him that I would be picking him up in front of his building for our Tuesday night meeting. He asked why, so I grabbed him up and instructed him to zip it after telling him I didn't want to appear in any recordings. I then drove to a peaceful rest area off the highway and forced him to exit. I used a metal detector on him, and everything was in order. He returned to the vehicle and, after I handed him a USB stick, he took my laptop out of the rear and plugged it in. USB. The camera must have been turned on since I saw a dresser next to the bed. Laura entered and went between David's knees to do things after it was empty. Laura's face was visible on her breast, right near to the camera that captured the bed from the side when she climbed upon it. She claimed to love it from behind and that it feels fantastic while she was naked, and then a video showed them in various. I informed David that the positions were ideal and precisely what I wanted, and he agreed. Paper and asked him to pull out an envelope, which I snapped a picture of since it had the correct name and date on it. I sent it to myself. I handed David an envelope from my car, and as I left him, he appeared pleased and double-checked the amount. At his place, he said, if you want more films, just say. So I had a fantastic day, making cash on Tuesday, I informed my cousin. And his wife. The narrative gave them a piece of the video, as well as some images and a list of times Laura was with David. Highlighted in pink, she skipped family gatherings for him, to her parents. I presented a cleaning shot from the movie. Simply heads and legs, nothing terrible. I didn't want to show anything that would distress them. I didn't want to hurt them. I didn't want Laura to lie to them either. I questioned, did you know Laura likes shoes so much they didn't know about the video of her with my shoes? She proceeded to smell each pair, which appeared to aggravate them the most. Perhaps they were the ones who cheated, but the shoe issue was strange. I mentioned that she always takes a shower after wearing the shoe. After a few days, I noticed that their bedroom door was constantly closed and that all of the shoes were gone from their home. I showed my parents the shoe-smelling video, and they found it amusing. I advised everyone to hold off till. On Friday, I gathered the kids down to discuss what was going on with me while Laura was out with her boyfriend. They were horrified to learn that Mom had a boyfriend, and I wasn't sure she still loved me, so they asked if we were going to. When she returned after seeing her guy friend, they both yelled, "She's at his house." I informed them I will speak with their mother. Spot. So I answered yes and used my phone to show them where her car was at her boyfriend's. Emma said, "Is this why, Mom?" I showed them a list and the tracker for the times their mother had when they missed spending time with Ben and me. Miss Ed, such as Emma's performance and Ben's birthday, and they started crying as they realized how much their mother had left. I informed them that I loved them and that this was an issue when they realized how little time Mom had left on their father's birthday. After many tears, hugs, and tears, their mother and I would do our best to remain together as a family. As we were speaking, the front door opened and Laura entered. Upon seeing our faces, she appeared concerned and inquired as to what was. "I need to talk to your mom, so go to your rooms." They gave me a hug and gave their mom a glance and proceeded to their rooms. As soon as I heard their doors close, I asked Laura to sit down and asked her how she was. "I am aware of the. Additionally, I never go behind your back. So why did you even believe that?" Laura's eyes got all wet. "If you want to tell me the truth, then it appears that our conversation is over." As if someone mistook anything for the actual thing. "Laura, we're done for the day. Think about how you're hurting us for the rest of the day. We'll speak more tomorrow. Don't talk to me or the kids." Laura continued to follow me and exclaim, "I got it wrong," but she stopped when I left the room to go to another one until we fixed this. She attempted to speak to Emma through the door after I shut it, but Emma was really quiet. "What did Dad say?" "Maybe you're not sure." I opened my door and noticed some of them together without clothing. "Laura, I wanted to know what you told the kids, but you're making things difficult for them. So leave them out until we figure this out. Inform them that until we work things out, it's just between us and you have another guy." I heard Laura cry all night long. "So please leave the kids alone." The following Friday, I waited for Laura. The children had left since they didn't want to be around this chaos. So Laura came to sit. Consider how you've damaged the family. She nodded in agreement and asked if we could discuss what's happening. Your side of it's all a huge mix-up. Okay, I've been closer to someone else, but it's just chatting. We've had lunch, several times, even when you said, not do we work together, so I can't help it. I've expressed some sentiments with him. That's it. Believe me, love, it's just you for me. Well, if lying is how you approach this situation, we're done talking. We can chat again on Saturday at her. The children will remain with your parents tonight at 9 o'clock, and on Friday, we'll discuss and consider the effects this has on all of us. Laura didn't say anything or follow me when I went from my room. So on Saturday at 9 o'clock, I had breakfast at Laura's with the kids. When they returned home, they noticed Laura at the kitchen table. I asked her whether she was prepared to discuss everything honestly, and she nodded. Yes, you told my. Why would you do that? People, yours, your cousin, and his wife. I've been proud of you, but now that I can see what's happened. I realize that children are your friends, but only a few. Kisses, but it's plenty to convince everyone that I'm to blame. We're done, and the children will spend the night with their grandparents. I'm working from home and have moved into the extra room. Let's chat Tuesday after work. Please consider what you're doing. To us that evening after supper with my parents and the children, I got up and drove Laura away. Was in the living room. I replied, "Can we talk on Tuesday?" before going to bed. Later, I received a text from one of Laura's friends asking me. They indicated it was a minor error, so I video spoke with them and explained how long Laura had been. They apologized and quickly hung up when I gave them a clear picture and a brief video of her with another man for cheating. I believe it's safe to conclude that Laura wasn't totally honest with her pals because I never heard from them again. That married women who cheat frequently, particularly if they resemble Laura, are the reason I returned home on Tuesday night. I spotted her at the kitchen table in my home office. She had brought spaghetti from our favorite restaurant, and a dish was present. Laura was really exhausted and had heavy bags under her eyes when she was ready for me. I believe she had been attempting to determine what. I added in a dejected tone that she tells lies to her friends and family, so they won't discover she's a truly horrible person. I believe I am a monster, but Laura, you've proven that a lie. Talk to me. You gave them a picture and a video of me, and I replied, yes, if it helps us talk, just so you know. I gave her the picture and video I like, because I don't want our family to be made fun of for what you accomplished. If you were with someone else, I never loved him, so did you truly love me that much? Marriage should. I completed all of the tasks for you. So relax, we share responsibilities, trust, and have fun. The trust just for fun, but you abandoned me with the majority of the household chores, the majority of the expenditures, and the whole trust while you had a good time in town and gave her a serious look. You stole my affection while giving yours away. How long have you known me? 7 months, she whispered softly. I didn't know. I'm sorry, but how can I trust you? I believed you were different, that you would be honest with me, and that you loved me. I'm saying the truth now, and I really love you. Is this the same thing as the truth? After sitting calmly for a while and observing her, you said 3 times that you didn't cheat. How can we resolve this, Laura? I grabbed an envelope from the home office and placed it in. It's a bargain for after you sign it in front of Laura, and I might give us another thought. I would really appreciate any assistance to make this work for me and the kids. I'm about to sign it, but it sounds like you simply want to get out without losing money. So what do I do? Receive? If I sign this, if we break up, I'll get half. If I cheat, I'll start over. I need a lawyer to review and sign it if you cheat, since I will receive 85 and the children. It won't last till I'm certain you're prepared to part with some cash on a Saturday morning just before I leave. After all of Laura's wrongdoings and falsehoods, she remarked, won't you have some food? I got what you love most. Should I? She was crying and begged, just sign the papers so you can win back. Expect poison. A little of my confidence when I met Laura the next day. She mentioned that she had a meeting with a boss woman, and she appeared to have been. Her guy had owned the home for years, but he stopped coming from the expression I received. Laura remarked, seeming somewhat sad to see. How can I help you? It was quite obvious that she had been circulating false rumors. She replied that it seems like it's your fault, and I responded that it seems like there's a misconception that I'm the bad guy in my marriage. Personal matter, not our concern here. I informed her that I had to go because I was occupied, but she suggested that we phone. If I didn't, I told the police that it did, in fact, have something to do with this Locati zero-in since my wife and a certain David were here. We're having an affair. I asked her if she had any evidence because she didn't appreciate my harsh remarks, and she replied that she had, displaying a picture. I also have many voice tapes of my wife and her coworker saying that they were supposed to be working, but we were. Joking aside, I showed her a few of the tapes and she appeared distressed. So my wife will be dismissed immediately, David. Sadly, you cannot fire him either. I was given permission to record my wife, but not. He said, thanks for the information, but I don't want to get into legal trouble for lying, and I doubt you want that trouble. Her tone was relaxed, even smiling. Can I keep the picture? No. I don't want it to be circulated and upset others. Laura arrived home crying after my folks paid her enough for her nosiness. She wanted to chat because she had lost her job and they didn't feel sorry for her. But I simply said Saturday before I left. Laura sat at the kitchen table on Saturday morning when I got to my room. Did you really need to terminate me when you knew I did what was best for you after learning that you were cheating? You ought to have quit your employment to avoid that jerk. Lost your way. I wanted her to realize how bad things were and agree to sign the documents. Nope, we could have spoken first. I apologize. I thought we had decided not to check in before. She asked if I would sign the post, and I said I would, and she gave it to me. I looked at the envelope and noticed that it was dated and signed. I mailed a. I gave my lawyer a copy and kept the original in my safe. She then explained the new house rules, and I was allowed to begin. I informed the family that we were working on our marriage while attending therapy, but I knew it was hopeless, so I didn't even bother. She did a good job of playing the role of being kind and considerate when scheduling any therapy sessions for the upcoming 30 days. She even installed a tiny camera in my office to monitor my activities. I could see it on my screen, but I managed to catch her in my secret. I only looked at the office camera from my car outside the house, but the following Saturday morning, I entered the. Laura was in the kitchen with coffee and appeared to be extremely happy with herself. We greeted hello, and I took my coffee and sat down. We haven't been close in a long time, so I figured maybe this may be the reason. Where are the kids at my parents' house across from her? The morning could be different after 8 months. Yes, 8 months has passed since we were close. I understand that you would believe that it has just been 8 months, but I assure you that it has been that long. Laura smiled at me and attempted to get up, but we could correct that. However, I urged her to sit down, Laura. I can't forget what you said or done. So could you kindly remove those pictures in my head? If you don't go, I won't be able to perform so well. I've tried to be polite, but you and the child continue to push me away, so I'll have to be obstinate to be sensible. Is this truly how you want to handle this? And should you start treating me with respect from now on? Laura, I do detest being compelled to watch your offensive films. And I've taken care of it. I got rid of all your copies. You slipped up by telling me you had backups I even erased. Your cloud and shattered your little drive. I've been watching you. You're so simple to read. I'm done. I'm going to remain with my sister till you treat me correctly. You've got no proof against me now. I obtained a new job, and I'm managing okay. I'll pick the kids from school every day, and we'll eat at my house without you until you treat me better. Laura stood. Laura then headed to the door where her sister was waiting in the dining room. They both left the house for 2 months. Laura spoke to her parents and the kids. She said that I had never had any recordings, and that the one photo had been altered since ID had included Laura's, and if I have evidence, then she informed them, the children and her parents, about David's faces on it. Let me demonstrate, but Laura had cleared it, and all of the children were split up between Laura's parents. Wanted to support her, but I noticed skepticism in my parents' eyes, not because they didn't believe in me, but that the children may not. After seeing the videos, my cousin and his wife were all on my side, so I felt like the odd one out. I needed to see David to make plans. Another film, but this time I really went all out and paid for a Florida room on the water. I assumed that if one of the 3 attractive guys didn't show up, I would have 3 backups. It could be 2. Oh, much, but I wanted to make sure I spent $5,000 on Laura and David's first-class tickets. I also told David that the tape had to be on the outside because it was a humorous scenario, and he mentioned that Laura was playing. Difficult to get. When I paid for his lavish supper, he kept asking for more. When they were eating, Laura and Sophia were eager to catch up with cash. 2 weeks later, I purchased another premium ticket for Sophia with David's friends. Was viewing the new video in my car with David. It begins with Laura, Sophia, David, and the three men going outdoors. Sophia inquired about how Laura and David met, and she said, I've been filling in for my boss for a long time while she is away on Fridays. I also fill in for David since someone told her man the truth. She had to quit talking about her and David. When I asked her whether David was doing well, she said that he had a large tool that she continued to cover for me on Fridays. So it's no surprise that she's the boss. Now that Laura was gone, the lady was happy to keep David around and wanted to spend more time with him. One gentleman tossed. Everyone laughed save for one person as he threw his little tool into the throng, and they all sat in comfortable seats drinking thereafter. That man began speaking to Sophia after a time, and after 15 minutes, he entered the hotel room, emerged swiftly, and gave the other 3 small blue tablets after 15 minutes. The 4 of us were prepared to go, and I had enjoyed my time with Adrian in that room. Did as I requested, and Laura wore the tennis skirt that ID had previously given her. Seeing my present get wasted on her birthday made me a little queasy. The video concludes with her lounging in the candy outside. When the GU says, let's change things up, Sophia wonders who gets to go first. The video continued for 10 more minutes until Laura got out of bed and was ready to request that it end when the camera cut off. I gave the money to David, who thanked me and left after getting dressed, taking a shower, and saying she had to leave. My lawyer was astounded by the work I had done when I offered him the drive of my automobile the next day. Replied, hey, send me copies. You need to plan or your family will disintegrate and abandon you. No, and I took the time to find out the best method to accomplish it, Laura, and I maintained seeing each other for a long after that. However, I finally had enough and filed for divorce. I try to keep things as simple as quick as possible, and I received my lawyer to pursue Laura with all I owned, with the goal of leaving her with just her car and the necessities. It worked beautifully, and I obtained complete custody of the children after Laura's parents left our town. My cousin's wife assisted with the children while I was grieving over their daughter's decisions, and I discovered a beautiful woman who loves the children in me. I now see that Laura never created a true family based on love and loyalty. Priceless. Tell us in the comments below what you would do if you were in that circumstance. Don't forget to like. For more stunning stories, please share and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.